Good evening, and welcome to this episode of Verbal TV1. I'm your host, JR, and boy do we have a heartbreaking story for you this evening. We've all seen the animal cruelty in the papers, online, and in the news. It's a constant headline that just jumps out at us. We've seen the sad ads by the ASPCA and animal shelters trying to get funding to help to care for these animals that have been rescued. We all know it happens, and we all believe that we would not be the people to commit these crimes and these atrocities against animals. But the reality is there are thousands of people out there who do it every day. And the most recent headline to hit the scene, I'm sure many of you have seen the story today about the guy up in Ohio who apparently wasn't born with a lot of sense. I'm not sure, about that, but that's the way it seems. You just listen to this story and see what you think. Basically, this dude had an English bulldog, which ain't an inexpensive dog to have if it's a full-bred dog. I'm not sure if it is in this case, but I think so, the way they're reporting it. And this English bulldog had a bunch of puppies. Now, I don't know if the puppies were mixed breed or not, but they looked very much like a bulldog. So, they looked purebred. I'm not sure what the problem was. But basically, the guy wanted to get rid of the dogs. And so rather than turn them over to a shelter or give them away to a friend or put them up on Craigslist for Pete's sakes, instead of doing that, no, what this dude did was he took them, stuffed them all in a suitcase. I'd love to see how that went over with the mother bulldog, but stuffed them into a suitcase and then took them down the street about 2 blocks from his house and threw them in an alleyway. I'm not sure how that was supposed to get rid of the dogs, other than perhaps starve them to death in a day or two, or, cause them to be dehydrated from water. It really wasn't going to get rid of them, because it ain't like he threw them in the dumpster, and he didn't throw them in a river or a lake like some idiots would do, and drown them. So I guess there's something to be said for that. But if you're going to commit a crime, perhaps you need to watch a little more television. Because, any episode of CSI or Law and Order or any show of that sort is going to teach you that perhaps if you're going to commit a crime, you should at least take the luggage tag on the suitcase you put the body in. You should at least take the luggage tag off that has your name on it. It's just a thought. If any of you out there are criminally minded, I'm sure that's the first thing you would think of. Let's remove the luggage tag. It has my name and address on it. But apparently that wasn't the case. Now, the guy claimed that the luggage had been stolen a couple weeks ago. But that I might have believed if it hadn't been for the fact he'd said that he gave the dogs to a friend of his in Michigan. Well, if the dogs are 2 blocks away in the suitcase that was stolen from you 2 weeks ago, then either you packed up those dogs in that suitcase and gave it to your friend and he just dumped it out the window, which still isn't good. Or you're just full of crap. And I'm going to go with the latter on that one. You're full of crap. So, basically, of course, they tracked the dude down. The mother dog was also registered to him. I'm sure she had a chip or something. They were able to figure it out. But basically, they come knocking on his door. They arrest him. They take him into custody. He's probably going to get 90 days in jail and like a $700 fine or something. $750 fine. Well, that's all well and good, but we all know that's just a slap on the wrist. Really and truly for this. Could have killed, half a dozen dogs. Luckily it didn't happen that way. A good Samaritan ran across the luggage, found the dogs, saved them, reported it to the police, and, things got taken care of. And, the animals are going to be fine. So it all worked out. But you really have to wonder about what people are thinking when they do stuff sometimes. Because sometimes, really and truly, I just think the brain stops. And that people just don't think. Maybe that's the problem. Because I'm like, how do you go and do that? Let's just throw some luggage in the alleyway. Again, that didn't make much sense either, because if it had been in the garbage, less likely someone would have found it. And if you're going to throw dogs away, everybody knows, you go driving out in the country somewhere where no one knows you and no one, the animals aren't going to come back. Obviously, in a suitcase, they weren't going to get out more than likely, but it just seems strange to me. But, this guy, he's obviously more than a little evil for abandoning these so ugly they're beautiful dogs. They are cute. You can see the pictures on Yahoo and other websites that are running the story. But for anyone out there who's wondering how can we prevent these problems, I mean, obviously the laws are way behind the times. They're not very strict. Some states he probably would have gotten a citation and that would have been it. So, you know, one thing you can do, obviously contact your congressman, tell them there need to be tougher laws on animal cruelty. That's one thing you can do. But the immediate thing that you can do as a pet owner, and it's something myself and my wife have both done with all of our animals, have them spayed or neutered. I mean, Bob Barker told us for 50 years, Drew Carey on the Price is Right. You know, everybody grew up with The Price is Right, and up until, you know, what, 10 years ago or whatever, Bob Barker always telling us at the end of the show to be sure and spade and neuter our pets, and, you know, keep the population down. Well, you know what? Bob's right. You need to spay and neuter your pets. Some people complain that it's too expensive, but I'm like, if you can own a pet, you got to be able to afford to spay and neuter them. It costs money to feed a pet. You got to take them to the vet regularly, get them their shots regularly. Pets are not cheap. If you can't afford to spay and neuter a pet, you can't afford to have a pet, first of all. But second of all, if it is tight, you know, things have happened. You know, I've lost my job recently, so I understand how it goes. But if money's tight and you need to get a pet spayed or neutered, there are thousands upon thousands of programs around this country and around the world that offer low cost to no cost spay and neuter programs. All you have to do is ask around, ask for help. Talk to every vet in your town, ask your friends, ask your neighbors. Trust me, somebody can hook you up. It won't cost you anything, or it won't cost you much. So just remember, spay and neuter your pets. This has been JR with Verbal TV 1, reminding you, give your dog a hug today. And if you don't have a dog, you have a house full of cats, like I do, just give them a swift kick, and we won't tell. Have a good night.